Hello, learners. Yes, we will continue with chapter number 2 of economics, in which we are trying to understand the different concepts that are used in economics. Today's our topic deals with wealth and welfare. Now, the concepts of wealth and welfare are frequently used in economics discussion. So it is necessary to understand that. Now we move on to the meaning of wealth. But before that, how come the wealth has become extremely important subject in economics? The reason is Adam Smith. As the definition of economics given by Adam Smith is in the context of wealth. So, the subject of wealth became extremely important. First, we start with the meaning of wealth. Now, in the understanding of Alfred Marshall's idea, wealth is something which is useful. Scarce means there should be shortage of it. Capable of getting exchanged means transferability and can be owned by somebody. It is very simple meaning given by him. Now we move on to the characteristics. The very first one is it should possess the characteristic of usefulness. That is, it must be useful in satisfying the human wants or needs. Means it should have the power to satisfy the wants. So, the goods which are useful in satisfying the needs of human beings are considered as wealth. For example, vehicle, precious jewelry, etc. The second one is it should be scarce. This topic we will study in the terms of supply and demand, in context to supply and demand. So those commodities, those goods which are scarce in supply in relation to their demand and possess exchange value besides being useful are called wealth. It means that there should be shortage of that commodity. We can exchange it and it should be useful. Then it is considered as wealth. Goods which are useful but not scarce and do not have exchange value, like sunlight, air, are not called wealth in economics because these goods are not scarce. Their supply is in abundance. So, they can't be considered as wealth in economics. Now we move on to the third one. That is, it should have physical or intellectual existence. Wealth should have an existence which can be exchanged. The ability to understand the aptitudes of human beings, their physical abilities, are the innate abilities and assets of human beings and are usually not exchanged. Yes, my physical abilities, my way of doing the work normally cannot be exchanged. But in today's world, however, the intellectual abilities of human beings, like to create new ideas, are exchanged for money in the market. And hence the intellectual ability to create the novel ideas, that is the new ideas and goods, is called wealth. Yes, if a person is having the ability to create the new products, then it is called wealth. I hope I am clear with this topic. Now we move on to the next character, which is wealth constitutes goods which are capable of exchange. Yes, which are capable of being transferred. It means over here we can transfer the ownership from one person to another person. So wealth is an economic concept, we all know, and therefore must be capable of getting exchanged. Wealth is meant to satisfy not only the present but also the future use, future consumption and other needs, and therefore must be capable of being exchanged. Now the simple example is of a house purchased today satisfies the present needs and can be sold in future to buy other goods. Same example is of jewelry. Jewelry will satisfy my present needs and I can easily sell it in the future to buy the other goods. Other examples are precious metals, land, etc. Now we move on to the last characteristic, which is durability. Durable goods can be used for future exchange and for satisfying future needs and therefore become wealth. Yes, durable goods are the goods that can be used for a long time period. So over here they can be exchanged. Now goods which perish after a single use cannot be used for future transactions and are therefore not wealth. Yes, we all know the meaning and the example of perishable goods. So as these goods are having single use and can't be used in future transactions, so they are not considered as wealth. Now for example, over here related to durable goods I am saying, for example, land, house, precious jewelry, etc. are durable goods and hence can be considered wealth along with their other characteristics. Shares, bonds are also wealth. Now, food grains which are produced by farmers are not wealth if and only if they perish in a very short time period. But if the same food grains can be stored in cold storage for a long time period and their market value increases in future, then these food grains become wealth. So we can say that new technology has redefined wealth. Now we move on to our next topic, that is types of wealth. Now wealth can be classified as, the very first one is individual wealth and societal wealth. Second is national wealth and international wealth. Now we start with individual wealth and social wealth. Now from the heading itself we can easily understand that the wealth under the ownership of an individual, of a person and meant for private consumption is called individual wealth. For example, house, mobile phone, etc. Wealth under the ownership of society and meant for collective consumption is called societal wealth. Yes, over here the consumption is of many people, so it is said to be social wealth. The example is dam. Now next we move on to national wealth and international wealth. Wealth belonging to nation and possessed and treasured by a nation is called national wealth. It means over here the wealth which is of a particular country, then it is said to be the national wealth. It helps to generate exchange value directly or indirectly for the nation. For example, rivers, mountains, etc. Now, wealth belonging to the earth and treasured by all the nations, all the different countries, which is possible to be developed for benefit of all, is called international wealth. For example, oceans. Now we move on to our next main topic, that is welfare. Welfare means enhancement of life situations. It means increasing the standard of living of the people and overall state of improvement. Now, all the human activities, economic and non-economic activities, are ultimately done with the purpose of improvement of human life. Yes, whether the activity is economic or non-economic, for example, charity ultimately is done with the purpose of improvement of life. Now, in economics, subject of welfare can be studied as individual welfare and collective welfare. When an individual seeks to make efforts to improve her or his standard of living and well-being, it becomes a subject of individual welfare. When a person is trying to improve, is making the efforts to improve his or her standard of living, then it is said to be individual welfare, because over here the improvement will be of that person only. Now we move on to the next one, that is collective welfare. When the nations and governments seek to improve growth, the development, etc., it becomes a subject matter of collective welfare. Over here, the welfare will be of many people, so it becomes a subject matter of collective welfare. Now, welfare can be measured quantitatively in context of growth and qualitatively in context of development. Now we move on to the last topic, that is relationship between wealth and welfare. Generally, when wealth increases, welfare increases, as more wealth means higher capacity to generate monetary value, greater power to exchange goods or purchasing power for owner, and hence greater well-being. Now, for example, if a person is able to buy more jewelry, more precious metals, then we can say that that person has got a high capacity to exchange goods and services, or the purchasing power of that person has increased. This is largely true in case of individuals. But when wealth of nation increases in form of national income, the welfare of the people will increase only if this national income is equally distributed among all the sections of the society and among all the sectors. Yes. Now over here we are talking about the wealth of a particular nation. If it is increasing in the form of national income, it is obvious that the standard of living of the people will increase. But over here there is one condition, that the distribution of national income should be equal. Besides, a nation's welfare also depends upon social and cultural formation, and hence there is not always a direct relation between wealth and welfare in a society. I hope that you are clear with all the topics. We will continue with the same chapter, that is chapter number 2. Till that time, take care of yourself. Thank you.